After this video, you'll be able to make a story that sells for whatever you are marketing. I'm Richard Maxwell, author of The Science of Marketing for Business and Politics. I've been researching the science of marketing for many years and seeing what works and what doesn't scientifically. So let's get to it. We all know a good story sells, but how do you tell a good story? What makes a good story? How do you structure a good story? How do you define the characters for marketing? We will answer all of these questions in this video and discover what's at the core of a good story. First, why do we have stories? Stories simplify. The world is complex. You've got families, friends, jobs, hobbies, politics, children, cooking, and that's just a part of our own little worlds. There's too much stuff to understand, so our brains help us out by simplifying things. Stories are a key part of this. Think of a childhood memory, for example. What do you remember? What you remember is a simplified story format. There might have been a problem to overcome, an event with a start, middle, and end. But the story you remember will only be part of what happened. Details which don't fit into the story format, the colour of the walls, the kids playing in the background, they aren't part of the story. So you don't remember it. Stories simplify real life into an easy to understand format, which is easy to remember. Stories are also used to solve problems. In every popular story there's a problem the protagonist faces, and most of the story is them trying to solve that problem. Typical story arcs have an intro, problem, solution, and resolution. Think about Star Wars: A New Hope. Luke Skywalker, the protagonist, is introduced on a desert planet, living with his auntie and uncle. He soon meets a problem when his auntie and uncle are killed by the Empire. He solves the problem by finding the rebels and destroying the Death Star. And they have a resolution with a big ceremony at the end. The story arc gives a spine, a structure to the story, organising it in an easy to understand and easy to remember format. Once you've seen Star Wars once, you can remember the core parts of the story. But you can't say that about the last bullet point filled presentation you went to. Next up is characters. Characters make a story relatable. Without them, we don't care what happens. The protagonist activates mirror neurons, which are essential to empathy. Mirror neurons make us happy when we see other people happy, and sad when we see other people are sad. Mirror neurons are so powerful, they even work when the protagonist isn't exactly the good guy. There are four main types of characters: heroes, villains, victims, and guides. Heroes are the ones the audience relates to. Villains are the ones who cause the problems. Victims get the consequences of the problems, and guides are what your company or campaign should be. Guides help heroes solve problems. The audience puts themselves into the shoes of the hero, so a smart company will frame themselves as the guide who helps them to where they want to be. This makes the audience feel great about themselves and shows how your company can be a resource to them. What I'm saying is, let your audience be Luke. You be Yoda. Popular political campaigns have used this character framing to their advantage. Obama said, "And with your voices and your votes, you made it clear at this moment, in this election, there is something happening in America." And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC, said the answer is you. In the EU referendum, the Leave campaign slogan was "Take back control." The audience was getting the control. That might not have been achieved, but it helped the campaign win. Now on to the central question of a story. A key part of a story is answering the question, who am I? When heroes face problems, they have to change to meet those problems. They usually aren't equipped to meet the challenge at the beginning of the story, or at least they don't realise they are. So they have to develop as a person and change the answer to the question, who am I? Take Rocky IV as an example. Rocky's friend is killed in a boxing match. At this point, his friend and Rocky are victims. Rocky then comes up with a solution of defeating the person who killed his friend. He changes to meet the challenge with a classic Rocky montage where he works out in various ways. He can then meet the challenge head on. Use this key feature of stories to help your customers or voters change to meet a challenge. They are the hero who changes, you're just the guide who helps them along the way. Let's see how the pros do it by looking at how storytelling works in an Apple ad. You can find the original ad in the link below, but we'll cut it down. First, a creative young woman is drawing in her room. She puts her creations in a box and locks them away. People keep on trying to see what she creates on an Apple Mac, but she shuts them out. Her dog decides to take matters into their own hands, or paws, and opens a window to her room. Her work flies out the window and scatters across the town. She chases it and sees people picking up her work and loving it. The phrase, "share your gifts," is written across the screen, and finally we see an Apple logo. End of ad. There's a clear story arc in this ad. The problem of the young woman being too nervous to share her work brings the audience in and puts them in her shoes. The story is forced upon her when her work is shared with others. And the change of the answer to the question, "Who am I?" changes from "I'm no good" to "I am good at what I do. I can do this." Character-wise, the young woman is obviously the hero. The villain is her own doubts holding her back, and she's the victim at the start of the story. She changes to become the hero she can be. The guide is Apple, and arguably the dog, but mostly Apple, who helps her have the tools to create wonderful things. The hero sees at the end, with the help of Apple, she is good. People do like her work. People talk about using stories all the time in messaging, but rarely do they get the story arc, characters, answers to the question "Who am I?" right. Use the models discussed to write your own stories. It will help communicate your messages in a simple way and show your audience how you can help them solve problems. Like and subscribe for more videos on the science of marketing, and check out my new book on Amazon. You can find the link to my book below. The next video will be about the science of metaphors, which dominates modern advertising, political discourse, and even our love lives. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching.